They say the wealthiest black communities in America exist only in whispers, tucked behind gated streets, immaculate lawns, and property records that read like a different reality. But here is the truth most people never hear. Long before Wall Street discovered diversity initiatives, long before luxury real estate agents recognized the value of marketing to black high earners, an entire network of neighborhoods had already built something extraordinary. Not just affluence, but stability. Not just high incomes, but intergenerational momentum. These aren't places built by luck or lottery winners. These are communities of engineers, doctors, diplomats, entrepreneurs, executives, and military veterans who turned quiet discipline into quiet wealth. Across the country, the wealth map of Black America looks nothing like the stereotypes sold in the media. And when you follow the income data, the homeownership patterns, and the migration histories, one pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Wealth is concentrating. Families are organizing. Black prosperity is no longer an exception, but a geography. A set of zip codes where the median household income outperforms national averages and, in some cases, rivals America's elite enclaves. Tonight, we are ranking the top 10 richest Black neighborhoods in America, using real census data, verified demographics, and property valuations that reflect actual market conditions. No myths, no romanticizing, no exaggeration. Just the documented centers of Black wealth that most people never learn about. And number 10 is a perfect example of this new reality. Number 10. Cedar Hill, Texas. Dallas County's quiet engine of Black affluence. Cedar Hill is one of those places people dismiss until they see the numbers. At first glance, it looks like a typical Dallas suburb, full of new construction homes, private schools, and families moving in from across the region. But look closer, and something remarkable appears in the data. Cedar Hill has one of the highest concentrations of middle and upper-middle-class Black households in the state of Texas. And unlike many neighborhoods that became affluent after gentrification, Cedar Hill's rise has been driven by Black migration, Black homeownership, and Black professional advancement. Most of the families who moved here in the 1990s and 2000s came from two sources: South Dallas, seeking better schools and safer streets, and out of state, especially from California, Chicago, and Louisiana. What they built is a community where the median household income for Black residents hovers around the upper middle bracket, and where home ownership is not the exception, but the norm. New subdivisions like Lake Ridge introduced large lot homes with sweeping hilltop views, attracting high earners who wanted space without the chaos of downtown Dallas. Cedar Hill also benefits from its position inside the Best Southwest partnership with nearby DeSoto and Duncanville, giving residents access to shared economic development projects, business incentives, and a rapidly improving retail and restaurant sector. That combination of suburban convenience and regional investment has turned Cedar Hill into a mobility hub for upwardly mobile Black families. But the real story here is stability. While many affluent communities fluctuate with economic cycles, Cedar Hill's growth has been slow, steady, and reinforced by generational patterns. Parents who bought homes for $180,000 in the early 2000s now watch them appraise well into the $400,000. Their children grew up in competitive schools, joined elite sports leagues, and went on to universities across the country. And many of them are coming back buying newer homes in the same zip codes where they were raised. Cedar Hill is not flashy. It's not Beverly Hills, but that's the point. This is Black wealth expressed through consistency, ownership, and long-term planning, not headlines. And it sets the tone for the neighborhoods that come next because they take this same formula and amplify it. And if Cedar Hill impressed you, wait until you see number 9. Number 9. Rosaryville, Maryland. The blueprint of Black suburban power? Rosaryville is one of the most quietly influential Black communities on the East Coast, and almost nobody outside Maryland talks about it. But the data speaks for itself. Located in Prince George's County, a region widely recognized as the wealthiest majority Black county in the United States, Rosaryville is a showcase of what happens when decades of professional achievement intersect with extreme stability and homeownership. This is not a neighborhood built on sudden wealth, celebrity money, or tech windfalls. It is built on careers. Long ones. The typical Black household here earns well into the six figures, and the home ownership rate sits above the national average. Large colonial-style homes on landscaped lots dominate the suburban streets. Many purchased in the 1990s and early 2000s by federal employees, military officers, contractors, healthcare professionals, and executives working in the D.C. metro area. Prince George's County has long been a magnet for highly educated Black professionals, thanks to its proximity to some of the most stable and well-paying employment sectors in the country. Federal agencies, national security, biomedical research, aviation, telecom, and defense contracting. Rosaryville is one of the clearest reflections of that pipeline. But the wealth in Rosaryville is not loud. You don't see luxury dealerships lining the streets, and you don't see celebrity culture driving demand. Instead, you see families using stable, high-income careers to build multi-decade wealth through real estate. Homes here routinely list between $500,000 and $900,000, and many residents purchased them long before the market surge, creating substantial equity cushions that are now forming the financial backbone of the next generation. The community also benefits from the unique ecosystem that surrounds it. Within 30 minutes, residents have access to Andrews Air Force Base, Joint Base Anacostia Bowling, NASA Goddard, and a network of medical research institutions associated with the government. This concentration of secure, high-skill employment produces something extremely rare: consistent upward mobility regardless of economic cycles. When recessions hit, many of the professional roles that support Rosaryville are among the most insulated positions in the nation. Stability creates wealth, and Rosaryville is proof. There's also a cultural dimension that outsiders often miss. PG County as a whole has been a center of Black excellence for decades, producing entrepreneurs, government leaders, surgeons, corporate executives, and multi-generational families who treat education and homeownership as non-negotiable pillars of life. Rosaryville represents the quieter, more residential side of that tradition. It may not have the immediate brand recognition of places like Baldwin Hills or View Park-Windsor Hills, but in terms of consistent affluence, it matches or surpasses many of the neighborhoods that dominate the headlines. And yet, Rosaryville is not the richest Black neighborhood in PG County. Not even close. It is merely one chapter in the larger story, and the next stop on this list begins to reveal why Maryland continues to tower over the map of Black wealth in the United States. Because number 8 is where the numbers start shifting dramatically upward. Number 8. Olympia Fields, Illinois. Chicago's crown jewel of Black prosperity. Olympia Fields is one of the most important success stories in the Midwest. Located roughly 25 miles south of downtown Chicago, this village is home to one of the highest median incomes for Black households in the entire country. And unlike some affluent suburbs where Black professionals represent a minority, Olympia Fields is majority Black and has been for decades. What makes it stand out is how it achieved its wealth profile. During the late 1970s and 1980s, Black doctors, attorneys, engineers, executives, and college professors began leaving Chicago's city limits in pursuit of safer neighborhoods and better schools. Many of them were among the first generation to break barriers in their professions, and Olympia Fields offered something they weren't finding elsewhere: space, prestige, and the opportunity to buy large, high-quality homes without facing exclusionary real estate practices that were still common in other areas. Over time, Olympia Fields evolved into one of the most consistent economic engines of Black affluence in Illinois. The homes are large, many between 3,000 and 5,000 square feet, and sit on quiet streets with golf courses, lakes, and parks nearby. Property values historically rise slowly but steadily, and because a large percentage of residents are established professionals, the community experiences far less turnover than similar suburbs. Olympia Fields also stands out for its intergenerational dynamics. Children raised here often pursue high-skill fields like medicine, law, and STEM the same way their parents did. Some move away for college or early career opportunities, but a significant number return, drawn by the same stability that brought their families decades earlier. That cycle of return is a hallmark of wealthy suburbs with long-term cultural cohesion. But perhaps the most defining characteristic of Olympia Fields is what it represents symbolically. In a region often associated with urban inequality narratives, Olympia Fields is the counterargument. It is proof of what happens when opportunity, education, and upward mobility align in a single community over several decades. It is one of the most stable Black wealth centers in the Midwest, and a reminder that Chicago's story is far more complex than outsiders assume. And yet, Olympia Fields is not alone. If you think a wealthy Black suburb in the Midwest is impressive, the next neighborhoods will shift your sense of scale entirely. Because once we enter the top 7, we move into a different world. Places where the median income rivals wealthy white enclaves, where multi-million-dollar real estate is normal, and where Black prosperity has become multi-generational at a level that surprises even seasoned researchers. Number 7 is where the list takes its first major leap forward. Number 7. Hillcrest, Queens, New York. The quiet, academic stronghold of Black professional families. Hillcrest is not the kind of neighborhood that makes flashy headlines, but any researcher who studies Black upward mobility knows its reputation. Nestled between Jamaica Estates and Fresh Meadows, this Queens enclave has built a long-standing reputation as one of New York City's most stable pockets of Black professional wealth. This is where families come for a very specific reason: educational access. Hillcrest sits near some of the strongest school zones in the entire borough and is within walking distance of major academic institutions, including St. John's University. That proximity shaped the community's demographic profile. Over the decades, Hillcrest became a magnet for Black professors, administrators, medical professionals, law enforcement officers, government employees, and mid to senior level corporate managers working across Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Long Island. The income levels reflect that trend. Median household income for Black families consistently lands above New York City's average, and the homeownership rate, while lower than suburban areas, is still significantly higher than many other NYC neighborhoods. Single-family homes dominate sections of Hillcrest, especially near Utopia Parkway, where tidy brick houses and tree-lined streets give the area a suburban feel without losing urban convenience. Beyond income, Hillcrest's real strength is long-term generational positioning. Children who grow up here often attend magnet programs, honors curricula, and university pipeline initiatives. Many go on to pursue degrees in STEM, business, and healthcare, fields that consistently produce high-earning adults. And the pattern often repeats. Those same children later return to Queens after college, stepping directly into high-salary roles that align with their upbringing. What makes Hillcrest unique is not just how stable it is, but how rare it is in the New York City landscape. For decades, restrictive lending practices, inflation, and high living costs made homeownership difficult for middle-class Black families in the metro area. Hillcrest is one of the few neighborhoods that broke that pattern and then replicated it generation after generation. Still, as strong as Hillcrest is, the top 6 neighborhoods move beyond stability and into something different. High-income enclaves where Black affluence isn't just present, it's the dominant characteristic of the community. And number 6 is perhaps the clearest example of a suburban environment where Black wealth has become the anchor of local identity. Number 6. Mitchellville, Maryland. America's most consistent center of Black upper-middle-class wealth. If Rosaryville is a quiet powerhouse, Mitchellville is the polished, unmistakable flagship of Prince George's County. Across all metrics, household income, home value, educational attainment, and percentage of Black homeownership, Mitchellville stands as one of the strongest examples of Black affluence anywhere in the United States. This community didn't emerge overnight. It is the result of decades of intentional migration by highly educated Black families seeking safety, stability, and upward mobility within the Washington, D.C. metro area. Starting in the 1980s, Mitchellville became the go-to destination for Black federal executives, military officers, attorneys, engineers, and medical professionals. These were not isolated success stories. These were households where both partners often held advanced degrees and high-earning careers. That dual professional dynamic helped push the median income for Black households into territory rarely seen nationwide. Mitchellville routinely ranks among the top Black majority census tracts for income, often surpassing well-known affluent communities. Homes here range from $550,000 to over $1 million, and many families purchased long before the market boom, resulting in substantial generational equity. But Mitchellville's influence extends far beyond its property values. It represents a unique ecosystem where Black excellence is normal. Local schools attract high achievers. Churches in the region are led by professionals with deep ties to civic engagement. Social circles often include judges, senior analysts, biomedical researchers, tech leads, aerospace project managers, and mid-career military officers stationed at Andrews Air Force Base. The density of high-skilled talent is unlike anything else in the country. What's even more remarkable is that Mitchellville maintains this level of prosperity without the celebrity factor that fuels other wealthy areas. This is a community where most residents are first- or second-generation high earners who built their wealth through discipline, stable career progression, and strategic home ownership. Their success is replicable, measurable, and deeply rooted in the structures around them. Mitchellville is proof of something powerful. Black wealth in America is no longer tied exclusively to entertainment, sports, or entrepreneurship. In this community, wealth is built through institutional mastery, mastery of government systems, mastery of military leadership paths, mastery of corporate ladders, mastery of education pipelines. Mitchellville stands as the model for what a Black upper-middle-class suburb can be when opportunity aligns with generational strategy. But the next 5 neighborhoods are even more elite, more insulated, and more deeply tied to long-term wealth creation. These are the places where Black affluence doesn't just match national averages. It surpasses them in ways that redefine the narrative of American prosperity. Number 5 is a community whose influence has been felt for nearly a century. Number 5, Ladera Heights, California. The Black Beverly Hills. Ladera Heights is one of the few neighborhoods in America whose reputation is so strong, so consistent, and so culturally embedded that people created a nickname for it decades ago, and the nickname stuck. The Black Beverly Hills is not an exaggeration or a marketing slogan. It is a statement of fact rooted in data, history, and lived experience. Ladera sits on a hillside above Los Angeles, bordered by Culver City, Inglewood, and the rising tech hub of Playa Vista. The location alone already places residents at the center of one of the most economically significant corridors in California. But what truly defines the neighborhood is the profile of the families who live there. Starting in the 1960s, Ladera became one of the only upscale areas on the West Coast where highly successful Black professionals could purchase large homes near Los Angeles. This created a concentration of wealth that has only expanded over time. Today, the neighborhood is anchored by a mix of executives, entertainment industry leaders, physicians, attorneys, tech managers, and business owners, many of whom command incomes that exceed metro averages by wide margins. The homes themselves tell the story. Spacious single-family properties, many over 3,000 square feet, line the winding streets. Mid-century modern architecture, manicured lawns, and elevated views of the basin give the entire community a sense of quiet prestige. Properties routinely sell between $1 and $3 million, with some reaching even higher. Generational ownership is also common in Ladera, meaning families who bought in the 70s or 80s now hold enormous equity in homes that were once affordable but are now luxury market assets. But what sets Ladera apart is something harder to quantify: the density of Black excellence per square mile. Actors, senior executives at Fortune 500 companies, university faculty members, tech founders, and longtime entertainment professionals often cross paths in the same grocery store. The environment shapes expectations, opportunities, ambitions. Children raised in Ladera often grow up surrounded by examples of achievement, creating a self-reinforcing cycle of success that continues generation after generation. Even as new wealth moves into Los Angeles, Ladera maintains a singular identity. It is affluent, historic, culturally rooted, and proudly Black. And while it is not the wealthiest Black community in America, it remains one of the most recognizable symbols of West Coast Black prosperity. But the next neighborhood on this list does something very different. It is not just a community of wealth. It is a financial stronghold with numbers so strong, so consistent, and so documented that no ranking of Black affluence is complete without it. Number 4. View Park-Windsor Hills, California. The largest high-income Black community in America. If Ladera Heights is the Black Beverly Hills, then View Park-Windsor Hills is the crown jewel of black wealth in the western United States. This isn't speculation. This isn't legend. This is a statistical fact backed by multiple decades of census data. With more than 80% of residents identifying as black and median household incomes reaching into six-figure territory, View Park-Windsor Hills is widely regarded as the largest and most affluent, predominantly black community in the country. The neighborhood sits just south of Baldwin Hills, overlooking Los Angeles from sloping hills lined with palm trees and modernist architecture. But the community's true significance comes from the people who built it and the families who sustained it. Many residents are the children or grandchildren of early black professionals who broke racial barriers in medicine, law, engineering, academia, government, entertainment, and aerospace. During the mid-20th century, discriminatory housing practices kept most affluent black families out of many Los Angeles neighborhoods. View Park-Windsor Hills became the exception, a rare enclave where black professionals could buy large homes with panoramic views, secure public services, and excellent proximity to the city's core economic hubs. The result was extraordinary. A cluster of stability that grew into one of the most sustained concentrations of black wealth anywhere in America. Today, the median household income for black families in Windsor Hills and View Park consistently ranks among the highest in the country. Home values often exceed $1.2 to $2 million, with some estates reaching $3 or $4 million. Many families purchased decades ago, resulting in generational equity that is unmatched even in many affluent non-black neighborhoods. That generational uplift is visible everywhere. Children who grew up here now work in tech leadership, finance, medicine, civil service, engineering, film, academia, and government. Beyond income and home values, the cultural reputation of this community is immense. View Park-Windsor Hills has been featured in documentaries, academic research, museum exhibits, and countless media profiles as the most complete model of black suburban prosperity in America. It is a living counter-argument to every stereotype about black wealth, stability, and upward mobility. The lifestyle here is distinct. It is not ostentatious wealth. It is legacy wealth. Families host long-running community events. Neighbors know one another. Many residents have lived in the same homes for decades, raising multiple generations under one roof before handing the keys down to the next. But even with its extraordinary accomplishments, View Park-Windsor Hills is not number one. The top three neighborhoods surpass even this level of affluence. They represent the highest concentrations of black wealth anywhere in the United States, with income levels and property values that redefine what a wealthy black community can be. And number three is one of the most statistically impressive places in the entire country. Number 3. Baldwin Hills, California. One of the highest income black communities in the United States. Baldwin Hills has earned many nicknames over the years: the Black Beverly Hills, the Hill, the Golden Zip Code. But at its core, the neighborhood is something more powerful than any nickname can capture. It is a concentration of black wealth so consistent, so multi-generational, and so statistically above the national curve that researchers, sociologists, and journalists continue citing it as one of the most important examples of black affluence in modern American history. The numbers themselves are almost impossible to ignore. Median household incomes in Baldwin Hills regularly land well above national black median income, with many households earning well into six figures. But raw income only tells half the story. The real engine of black prosperity here is homeownership, something that sits at the heart of the Our narrative because it represents stability, leverage, and generational wealth. The hillsides are lined with luxury single-family homes, many with sweeping views of Los Angeles. Some properties date back to the mid-century boom, built by renowned architects who helped shape California modernism. Others are newly renovated estates with world-class upgrades. But what matters most is this: many black families bought these homes decades ago, during a time when the rest of Los Angeles was locking them out through restrictive covenants and redlining. The families who broke those barriers now possess properties worth $1, $2, $3 million, equity that has transformed entire family trees. The neighborhood also became a magnet for success in entertainment, sports, public administration, healthcare, engineering, education, and the aerospace industry. If you grew up in Baldwin Hills, you grew up surrounded by examples of achievement: Black doctors, Black civil engineers, Black directors, Black university professors, Black real estate developers, and Black entrepreneurs. That environment shapes identity. It shapes ambition. It shapes an understanding of what's possible. But Baldwin Hills is more than a set of economic indicators. It is a cultural landmark. The neighborhood has appeared in documentaries, films, academic studies, and even national newspapers. It represents what happens when Black families are allowed access to capital, housing, and opportunity. They build communities that rival the most prestigious zip codes in America. Still, as wealthy as Baldwin Hills is, it does not take the #1 or #2 spot. Because those positions belong to communities whose income levels are not just high, they are statistically extraordinary. And #2 stands alone as one of the highest-earning majority Black cities in the entire country, with documented numbers that even elite suburbs struggle to match. #2. Mitchellville, Maryland. One of the wealthiest majority Black cities in America. Mitchellville is a place that forces people to rethink everything they believe about Black economic power in the United States. It is not a neighborhood. It is not a historic district. It is a full suburban city whose wealth statistics rival, and often surpass, some of the most exclusive communities on the East Coast. The numbers here are staggering. Median household incomes regularly land between $130,000 and $150,000, depending on the data cycle, placing Mitchellville not just near the top for Black communities, but near the top for American suburbs as a whole. This is not anecdotal. This is not implied. This is measured, verified, and repeatedly confirmed through census data. What makes Mitchellville special is the professional density within the city. Many residents work in federal agencies, cybersecurity, defense contracting, law, finance, medicine, higher education, and corporate leadership. Proximity to Washington, D.C. supercharges these opportunities, giving residents access to some of the highest-paying public and private sector jobs in the region. But wealth here is not only about income, it is about structure. Mitchellville has one of the highest Black homeownership rates in the country, with properties commonly valued at $600,000 to over $1 million. That combination, six-figure income streams, and high-value homeownership, creates the exact dynamic that produces long-term generational wealth. There is also a demographic reality that makes Mitchellville exceptional. Many residents descend from families who prioritized education, public service, and upward mobility for multiple generations. Children growing up here often have parents who are attorneys, physicians, engineers, military officers, scientists, and senior government analysts. That environment reinforces confidence. It normalizes success. It turns ambition into expectation. Mitchellville also benefits from its location in Prince George's County, widely recognized as the wealthiest majority Black county in the United States. The broader regional ecosystem empowers the city rather than isolates it. Neighboring communities like Woodmore, Kettering, and South Bowie create a network of Black affluence that is unmatched anywhere in the country. But as wealthy as Mitchellville is, and make no mistake, it is often ranked #1 on many lists, there is one community whose metric places it ahead. Because while Mitchellville wins on income, the #1 spot belongs to a place where the numbers aren't merely high. They are the highest ever documented for a majority Black neighborhood in the United States. And that community is next. #1. Woodmore, Maryland. The wealthiest majority Black community in the United States. Woodmore is not simply wealthy. It is not simply successful. It is not simply a symbol of Black prosperity in America. Woodmore is the statistical summit, the highest concentration of Black wealth ever recorded in the United States. A neighborhood where six-figure incomes are the baseline, not the exception. A gated enclave where multi-million-dollar homes are standard, not aspirational, and a community that rewrites every outdated narrative about what Black achievement looks like in America. To understand Woodmore, you have to understand the environment in which it sits. The community lies inside Prince George's County, which is already recognized as the wealthiest majority Black county in the nation. But Woodmore goes even further. Its metrics are so strong that researchers often highlight it separately from the rest of the county because it operates on a level all its own. Median household incomes routinely exceed $170,000, making Woodmore one of the highest-earning suburbs in the entire Washington metropolitan region, Black or otherwise. Census data repeatedly places Woodmore in the top tier of American affluence, with results that rival elite communities in Northern Virginia, Montgomery County, and even affluent suburbs in California. The reason is simple: professional saturation at the highest levels. Residents include senior federal executives, military officers, physicians, surgeons, tech leaders, cybersecurity professionals, engineers, attorneys, and high-ranking government analysts. These are careers that generate stable, repeatable, high-income trajectories.